Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, one-on-one.
So now we're going to have a look at another entrepreneur who has two separate businesses. One of them deals with food and street vending. She brought in a trailer at her own expense to the tune of nearly $35,000. 2 years later, still no approval. Every other week, it's you need this, you need that, and she names names. Have a look. Shakira, for our audience sake, you've heard what Keith had to say. Tell my audience who you are and what your situation is since when.
So my name is Shakira. I'm an entrepreneur. Some may know I run a business already, something different, specializing in unique apparel. I do have challenges with that as well as far as locations. Luckily, Parks did open up something this year that allow concessions to be at certain locations. So starting June of this year, it kind of eased up a bit, but come next month, I'm going to be back to square one with locations. So that's another issue, but my issue that I've been dealing with Department of Health has been for about 2 years now, because I have a kitchen trailer, fully equipped, stainless steel, fridge, freezer, 2 sinks, hot, cold water, deep fryer, 2 vents, grill. The only thing it doesn't have is an oven. So I initially bought it in January 21. I contacted the health department once TCD went ahead and cleared it off the docks. An inspector by the name of Natalie Blake had came by. She was amazed because I was the first to actually bring in these sorts of trailers. So she was like, wow, you have an AC, you have 2 vents, you shouldn't have any issues going forward. So she went back to her superior, who she said she has to go back to discuss the license, to get the license. She called me, I believe it was that day, and said, Shakira, listen, what is your menu? Because if you want to sell fast foods, you're good to go, I can pass you today. I said, I don't want to be the ordinary food stand. I want to have local fish, shrimps, peas and rice, fries, coleslaw, and a salad. So she says, okay, well, you need a prep kitchen. So I said, okay. So it took me quite some time, almost a year probably, to actually locate a prep kitchen. So I called her up and I said, okay, I have a prep kitchen, the gas hose, because she told me once I get the gas line hooked up as well. So I told her I have those things. So she says, well, where's the letter from the prep kitchen owner? I give her that. She says, oh, this isn't going to work because the prep kitchen is so far away. And I'm like, huh, what you mean far away? So I said, okay, well, what can I do, Natalie? She's like, oh, well, you have to come up with the decision. I can help you. I said, well, you need to tell me what I'm allowed to do in the kitchen so I can go make a plan. So she didn't give me anything. I went back to her with a plan of doing prepackaged foods. She then said, Shakira, you actually need to, I think I'm going ahead. Sorry, guys. I am going ahead. So once I got the prep kitchen, I called her back. And she says, oh, you need 3 sinks. I said, well, how come you didn't tell me this back in January, when you told me I'm okay? Oh, well, I would just talk to someone and they told me you need 3 sinks. Okay, fine. I go get the 3 sinks. In the meanwhile, I said, Natalie, is it anything I can do with 2 sinks? Can I serve prepackaged? She said, maybe you can. Let me go to my superior. Always going to her superior for every little thing. So I said, okay. She said, I said, oh, prepackaged pretzels, snacks, stuff like that. She's like, okay, well, where are you going to store it? I'm like, huh? At home. She says, oh, no, you're not going to be able to store it at home. I said, well, I'll go rent a storage spot in one of these self-storage. Oh, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. I said, Natalie, well, what can I do? So back and forward, keep asking them, what can I do? Every time it was a block. And I'm like, okay, this is driving me crazy. It really started driving me crazy. I actually gave it a break. In the meantime, I went, got my 3rd sink, and went back to her. I said, okay, I'll get a 3rd sink, and I'll go back with a fast food menu. So I go back with the third sink, and she didn't even inspect the third sink. She's, she just always was on something else. And I get the third sink. She says, "Okay, let me go back to my superior." So I said, "Natalie, why do you always have? What is your job? What is your title like? Because you always got to go to your superior." And I've actually been to your superior, who always keeps sending me back to you because I'm really fed up with the service. Yeah, I'm not getting anywhere with you, and it's frustrated, even to the point where she offended me by asking me why did I bring my kitchen trailer to Bermuda. And I'm like, okay, you're not Bermudian, and you are asking me as a Bermudian, why am I trying to start a business? Basically, I took offense by that. I called her Tom. I called her Mal. Never really got a hold of him. They kept putting me to Tom. Tom kept them putting me back to Natalie. So right now I'm at a space where I'm still fighting with them. And where I am right now is I have to get a letter from the property owner where I will station, and I also had to get a letter from a cleaning company that will be able to tell them where my trailer will be washed for the grease, whatever grease is on the outside, where is that gonna run. So that's where I am with them now. In the meantime, I've been really like almost tempted to sell it, because 2 years.
How much did it cost?
To get my two trailers, I bought them in Bermuda together. Landed, clear customs was like $32,000.
And a year later.
And 2 years later, my clothes is running, but I had challenges with that.
You have challenges with locations.
With locations with that.
Tell me what that was.
Because initially when I went to BEDC for a vendor's license, after I felt forced to do what I'm doing now, because I was forced out of industry that I really loved, but that's another story. So when I went to BDC, you have to fill out an application of where you'll be vending and stuff like that. So I went to them thinking a vendor's license was, I guess, a peddler's license, what they used to call it, changing the name. So throughout the island, through the years that I was an entrepreneur, I used to see people posted up selling stuff. So I decided I was going to do the same thing and go to places where I saw people selling stuff after I was kicked off the causeway, because I wasn't allowed to be there, right?
Why?
Because parks and BDC don't have the same, under the same umbrella, so you have to ask parks for permission to be on their property, and parks never allow clothing vending, so they say. So that's why I always had a problem, and I was always on private property doing my business, because that's the only place I had to go, right? So this year, and I wrote to Mr. Bert at Parks. I wrote to many people regarding my clothing business and trying to find a location, right?
Solution?
The only solution that came up now is that I have a concession license to vend at where I am up until October. So I think it's from May to October. So
and
then I'll have to try to find private property
Still
again.
nothing with food.
Still nothing with food. I'm gonna actually reach out to another location that I've thought of putting the food, and see if they would go ahead and honor permission before it's passed. But I think, if anything, like I said to Natalie, even if I just wanted to do events, it has to get passed. Like, for me to go back to where I was and spend all this type of money, and then keep coming out with blocks. Like, I want to just get it passed and then figure out.
You think it's personal?
Well, I don't know if it's personal, because I don't really know any of them personally, but I think it's a problem, like Keith said, with Bermuda. It's who you are. It definitely is, because like he said, I went to many different concession stands and I didn't see 3 sinks, and they mixed their menu. No prep kitchen, they're prepping everything right there, and I went back to Natalie, who always tells me it's none of my business. Same thing that feedback you get, worry about yourself and go off the standard of this paper or whatever.
Standards seem to change.
But standards change for everybody. So why should I have to go off the standard if you have other people not? you know, and I was one of the first, or actually the first to bring in the trailer of my style. And it
So
seems
where's
like
it now? Just sitting there?
sitting there.
So when you heard your government say they support entrepreneurship and they want to promote Bermudians and business, how does that sit with you?
From my experience, it doesn't sit well because even the purchase of my trailers is another story. I actually went to BEDC with my business plan, with the estimate, everything. I was even told, this was during the first lockdown. I had a deal where it was saving me $7,000. So I called BDC. I said, listen, I could get this great deal, but they're asking for $4,000 today. So should I take my 4,000 and put it, or should I wait? She says, oh no, and I believe it was Miss Smith. And I mean, I guess she kind of was trying to do the right thing, but she guided me the wrong way as well, because she told me go ahead and do it, and it would make my application look better.
And then what happened?
So I said, are you sure? Because these things are going to be ready to ship 20 to 30 days. She said, yes, go ahead. So I did it. So in 10 days, I hadn't heard anything. And I called her and I was like, it's 10 days. She said, why would you do that? The application takes 4 to 5 weeks. I'm like, huh? We had this conversation and you basically told me to go ahead and do it. So I did it. And on the other hand, she's the one who told me go apply for payroll tax, social insurance, all these expenses, but yet government weren't providing me somewhere to do business, you know? So it's like, it's definitely a who you are thing, because I've seen people as well, like you said, open and not have 3 sinks, not have 2 sinks, not have hot water. I have hot and cold water.
So what do you want to see happen? You want
What I
standards
want
across the board? What do you want?
What needs to happen is needs to be standards across the board, but not just standards across the board that you talk about, but act on them. Not like if somebody brings in a trailer and she doesn't have 2 sinks, or she has 1 sink, whatever, but everybody needs to be treated equally. And to me, you need to treat those who start businesses on their own with their own funds, to treat them equally as well. Because I was even called on a Sunday by a reporter to have an interview. I still haven't seen that interview today yet. It doesn't matter in Bermuda when you try to even go out of your way and provide a service, not just for your own, but for those who visit. I have guests that come to Bermuda just because of me. So this goes really, really deep for me, and I'm starting to get a bit emotional. But as far as I'm concerned, they don't treat everyone equal. I voiced my opinion that to Tom at Department of Health, to Armel, and to Natalie. And I'm still trying to figure out who's higher than them, because every time I go to Natalie's boss, Tom, and Armel's boss, Tom, they keep sending me right back to her. And it's not right. It's not right. And I shouldn't feel like I want to sell my investment and then let somebody else go and get a pass just like that.
So with a government that's 32-6, how you feeling?
I would have thought that people like us, you know, would have been not given the golden spoon, but people like myself, I'm willing to invest, and not just me, but in the service provided in Bermuda by our people, you know. And for you to just keep putting up a block because I'm not Mary Jane or Sue.
Think it's personal?
I don't know if it's personal. I don't know. But was it Juan Swan? Sir Juan Swan? He touched the spot. It's. I don't even think it's personal, but I think it's the civil servants trying to add the dollars up and trying to block that. I really do, because I had the experience working in the hospitality industry. I was clocking hours. I was working in 5 different departments. So once management saw that I was making more money than them because I was doing more hours, doing more departments, they blocked it. So it seems like it's a trend with the higher-ups.
So, as with the other case, we reached out to Armel Thomas, who responded that the government has a policy of sending all queries from the media to the Department of Communications. As a seasoned journalist, I would think that he knows that already. I replied saying noted, and that the subjects are calling his name and people in his office, not the Department of Communications. That being the case, we referred the audio to the Department of Communications rep Honey Adams, who stated that she will have a specific response, but not in time for today's recording. This story airs Monday. We'll get back to you on that moving forward. In the interim, thanks for tuning in. But at some point, we must ask ourselves as a people, what is it about us? You get a position, somehow you lose your memories and your minds. At some point, we have to take a look at how we treat each other generally, as a people, as people in business, as people trying to make a living outside of that comfortable civil service group. No, that's my opinion personally. And in days of old, people would get written over and Bermudians were silent and take it and suffer in silence. Those days are over. We're calling names. You got a cushy job? You're a union president? Clean it up, yo. Thanks for tuning in.